going to dive into a recent experience that really made me see tangibly how faith and being challenged and all of that come together to help you grow as a person.
Welcome to Impact and Fulfillment with Coach Mike D, where you'll gain practical wisdom and dynamic insight from amazing conversations to live your best life.
Yo, dig this. Welcome back to another episode of Impact and Fulfillment with your boy, Coach Mike D. Hope y'all are having an amazing day. I hope you are having an amazing moment right now. And if right now is not an amazing moment, do what you got to do to change it. So today's quick episode, I'm really going to dive into a recent experience that really made me see tangibly how faith and being challenged and all of that come together to help you grow as a person. So this is actually a couple of days ago now. My wife was headed to work and she left out of the garage and drove down the hill. And as she was driving down the hill of our neighborhood, the lights flashed in her car that said, check brake system. Everything just started flashing. And so she got nervous, turned around, came back home. And I was like, you know what? I'll handle it. Take my car to work. I'll figure out what's going on with your car. We have a neighbor that is actually the mechanic that works on our cars, right? So he has an auto shop and he does everything. And so I went and hollered at him on his way to work. And I was like, listen, this is what's going on. Can I bring the car in to get service? I don't know what it is. He had to do something early, but he said, you know what? Come by about 11 o'clock and I'll take a look at it. We'll get it fixed up for you, etc. So in the meantime, I was like, bet, got the kids to school. Then I went to the gym and I had a few minutes before 11 o'clock so that I could take the car to get serviced. On my way to taking the car to get serviced, all of a sudden on the road, probably a mile away from his shop, everything shut down in the middle of the road. This is a 5-lane road, pretty major thoroughfare. Everything shut down. Like the emergency flashers wouldn't even work. Right? Everything just shut down. Power went completely out. I didn't know what happened, right? And on top of that, the power went out, middle of the road. Thank God nobody was tailgating me. Then I looked at my phone, and because the power is out in the car and my phone was already low battery, my phone was at like 7%. So I'm like, okay, my phone is at like 7%. This car had just died on me driving to the shop to get fixed. And how am I going to call a tow truck or who am I going to call? Because I got 7%. And for some reason, those moments when you're at very like low percentage battery on your cell phone, all of a sudden it starts to go down even faster, than it usually does. Right. But I'm just like, dang, I'm like stuck. And on top of that, I just left the gym sweaty. And it was like 25, 26 degrees outside. So it's cold, sweaty, didn't have a charge on my phone, right? Headed to get the car serviced. And this happened. So I ended up there was a Taco Bell across the street. So I went to the Taco Bell and, one of the ladies was standing there that works there. And I said, by chance, does anybody have a cell phone charger that I can borrow? And granted, I'm team Android. Everybody in there working was like an Apple, I guess, an iPhone haver or iPhone user. I'm team Apple. I'm team Android. So I'm like, hey, do y'all have anything that can charge my phone? My car just died in the middle of the road and I need to call a tow truck and I don't have any juice and they're going to have to call me back, etc. So a lady went to the back and she was like, I think I got a charger. And they tried to charge it up in the back, but that charger didn't work. So I'm running on super low battery. What ended up happening is I went next door. There was like this little small gas station, like a little kiosk gas station. Went to the guy who was working the kiosk gas station. And I said, listen here, my man, by chance, do you have a charger in there that could charge my Android phone? Right. And he said, Yeah, you know what? I can't stand Apple. I'm an Android user myself. I think I got you. So I handed my phone over to him. He charged it while I stood out in the 26-degree weather, sweaty, letting my phone charge so that I could call and get some help. While I was there with my phone charging, one of the ladies who worked at the Taco Bell, which was next door, actually went out to her car and she said she found this Android charger that she doesn't use. I think it was somebody else's. And she said, hey, if you want it, you can have it. I was like, oh, that is a blessing, right? So she ended up giving it to me, and I told my man, thank you. Ironically, his name is Mike as well, kind of cool. And I said, thank you, but I'm going to go back inside a Taco Bell so I can warm up and not get sick out here because it's super, super cold. I went in and started charging my phone, calling tow truck agencies. And basically, I got one on the phone who said that they were going to call somebody and have a dispatch call me back. So I was waiting on them to call me back. And then I called my guy who has the auto shop down the street that I was taking the car to begin with. I told them what was happening. They ended up getting in the car and driving up to me because I was only like a mile to half a mile away. They came up. He did something with the battery and was able to get the car started and get it down the street to his shop. And so he didn't know what was going on. He didn't know whether or not it was the alternator or the battery, etc. But initially, it was a bad battery. And so at this point, I'm just like, listen, I really don't care what's going on. Let's just get it fixed. And so he was like, well, it looks like your battery is still under warranty because you bought it like 2 years ago. Why don't you call up there? It'll save you some money, as opposed to having to buy a new battery. So I called the place and I bought the battery from, and lo and behold, the battery was still under warranty. So they then ran up to the shop, exchanged the battery, got it into the car, did service on the car, etc., got everything up and running. And I had everything done before it was time for me to go and pick up my kids from school. Okay. I said all of this to say that situation required me to rely on a few different strangers as well as a trusted neighbor / friend to help me out through something. When the things happened, I was ready to get frustrated and panic. But then I had to think back to earlier that day before my kids left for school, when I was taking my wife's car because, hers was having an issue. I told them that challenges are opportunities for us to prove ourselves, right? And then God got us no matter what. And so it was interesting. I didn't know all the stuff that was going to happen later in the day was going to happen, but it was an opportunity for me to prove myself. It's not what happens, it's how you respond to that. But it's also one of those situations in which you don't put your faith or your trust in stuff. You put your faith and your trust in God, and he uses stuff, situations, and people to help you along the way. So I thought through the situation after the fact, and I started first with gratitude. First off, my gratitude was in the fact that my wife didn't have that malfunction while she was driving on the highway. I could only imagine power completely going out while she's on the highway, going at a high rate of speed, and she's headed to work. I was so thankful that that situation happened with me and not her. So first off, I was completely grateful. I was like, okay, God, you got us because you had this thing situated. I was also thankful because I have a neighbor that's a mechanic who works on our cars, right? I was able to have a conversation with him and him give me some insight and for him to hook things up for me later. I was super grateful at Taco Bell, these random individuals in there. I wasn't even there eating, right? How they went out of their way to try to help me find a charger. Somebody went to the car, found one, and actually gave me one. I was grateful for the other guy named Mike, who was at the kiosk gas station, who allowed me to stand in the cold and charge my phone while I waited on help for my car that it stalled, right? I was looking at all of these things and I'm just like, these were all situations and opportunities for others to help me in a time of need. I was grateful for my neighbor who came up to get me and got the car started and figured out what was going on and come to realize it was simply a battery failure, complete battery failure, which I had never experienced like that before, where my emergency lights didn't even work. But long story short, I was grateful for that, or grateful for him to come to my aid. I said all of this to say that there are people in your life, there are people around that you don't even know that are there and willing to help. And we can't deny them the opportunity to help us. On top of that, there are people in and around your life that you are well equipped to help. And you should not deny yourself the opportunity to help them. And it's not about me repaying them. It's about me making sure that I'm always in the moment and I'm always in alignment with what's going on. And I'm allowing the Holy Spirit to move and to navigate me so that I can be of service to those that need me. Because there are going to be times in which I'm going to need you. There are going to be times in which not you, I'm going to need others. And it was one of those aha moments for me. And it made me think about this whole notion of faith and trusting God. And when you keep your eyes on God and you trust God and you allow God to work things out, but you also take the necessary actions and you're obedient and you listen, things have a tendency of working out. Do they always work the way that you want them to? No. Do they always work in a way that you plan them to work? No. But they work. And this to me was an opportunity to experience that thing. And that further strengthened my faith and my belief in God that I need to stay in alignment with him, stay connected to him. I need to listen, but I also need to act. But I also need to realize that he uses people and circumstances to teach me things, to show me things, but then to also give revelation that he still got us all covered. This thing could have been totally different, but because of his divine setup, it worked the way that it did. So I say, to God be the glory. And y'all pay attention, listen, stay connected to him. But then also when you get inspiration to do something, do it. All right, do it. And everybody out there ain't bad. I can also say that there is no setup where people are only of a particular race or only of a particular background or only of a particular belief structure that are going to help you. I don't know what any of these people believed. I don't know what any of these people had going on in their life. They just saw some dude that needed help and they helped me. Right? Like that's something that we have to be mindful of as well. Sometimes we categorize folks, or we put certain types of people or certain groups of people in various categories. And the reality is there's good and bad in every demographic. There's good and bad in every group. There's good and bad in every socioeconomic status. There's good and bad at every station in life. And the reality is you can't control who that person is. You can't control what they've gone through. You can only control how you operate, how you treat people, and how you act. And if you keep your trust and your faith in God, you're going to, in some way, shape, or form, find the people and connect with those people that he has set up for you to connect with. And but that requires you to trust. That also requires you to take action. And it also requires you to just be present in the moment. So it's not always what happens. At times, it's how you respond to it. And, in this whole podcast of impact and fulfillment, I hope this story helps you to think about how you're impacting the lives of others, but then also to maybe become reflective also of how others have been impactful in your life. But then as it pertains to fulfillment, like the things that you do and how you operate, how does that move the needle in the life of other people? And yeah, man, I hope this is something that resonates with you. And hope this resonates with you. So as always, make sure to grab a copy of my book, The 33 Laws of Impact and Fulfillment. Follow at Coach Mike D across social. And until next time, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And I'll holler at you. Peace.
I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and follow Coach Mike D everywhere on social media. Y'all be blessed, well, and wise.